Duna, the great red ball in the sky. And its little buddy Ike. Yeah! So this is going to be the next mission. We are going to go to Duna. We're going to land there. We're going to have a lot of fun doing it. We're going to do some exploring. We're going to see Ike as well and do some exploring there. But to do so, we are going to need a ship. So, what are we going to do about getting ourselves a ship? Well, we're going to build one, obviously. Yeah. Let's go in here and let's start building things. Setting up the ship itself at this point. The landers will come later, but for now we're just going to set up the main transit vehicle, I guess you could say, from Kerbin to Duna and back. So, pretty basic ship design, I think, anyway. Put some batteries in there, get some RCS on the top and bottom. Don't know quite why I didn't put another set of batteries on the bottom there, but whatever. I'm sure I had my reasons at the time. Get myself some solar cells on there, RCS thrusters, and now I'm just kind of setting up the pods for the engines. But unfortunately, these aren't going to work out too well, and I'll change the strutting. The reason being that I didn't really like the way that they were positioned over the RCS thrusters. Put a little Communicron on there for communicating back our crew reports and EVA reports to Kerbin itself. And there's me realizing how close they are. Maybe not just yet. Yeah, there we go. Changing out the strut because those engines were too close to the thrusters for my liking. So we figured to tie those in a little bit better, but soon I'm going to realize that because of the way the symmetry is set up, I'm not building this quite correctly. Anyway, no big deal there, but the idea here is pretty straightforward. Bunch of nuclear engines, huge amount of fuel, and this will also transport the landers. So I put some radial attachment points there, and eventually we'll get some docking ports on there too. Add some science experiments as well. Some atmosphere sensors and some goo and some materials bay. There's the docking ports. Name the ship the Duna System Explorer because I can't be bothered to become creative with the naming of these ships. And finally, putting on the launch stage itself. Of course, I realize at this point that I actually do have a launch stage already from my Sun mission, so I decided to use that instead because it just saves a lot of build time, and finally have to restrut because, of course, when it comes to subassemblies, the struts that are attaching between the subassembly and the upper portion, well, they never work out because subassembly doesn't know what to do with those struts. So anyway, that's more or less it. Just put a Sepratron on there and we're done. This looks like it could be fun! Let's try it. So, she wobble a little bit. Yes, she does. Because I think this is actually higher, like taller than the Sun mission, right? Not the end of the world, I guess. We'll see how it actually handles, but hopefully this will work. I don't know. Whatever. Stage that. T that. Oops, almost forgot. Woo! Okay, well, it should be more than adequate thrust at any rate. Let's see what it does. Ready, guys? Let's do this. And liftoff. Oh, I forgot to make a modification. Oh no. Oh well. Blah, 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 blah. I forgot to make a slight modification to this particular design. And slight modification involves... Ugh, this is probably going to mess up all my strutting, eh? Whatever. Move that down. what I want to do is put one of these guys on there. Strutting's still fine. Yeah. Let's see how that works. Old me again. Not much to say here, really, but I didn't want too much dead air going on here, which is kind of why I'm filling these things in the first place. But again, nothing much to say, just your standard launch, really. I did kind of want to mention, though, that I'm really proud of the way that this super heavy launch substructure worked itself out. I'm glad that I did the sun mission first, because now it would appear at any rate that I've got a way to get just about any amount of tonnage that I could reasonably conceive of putting up into orbit up there. You know, obviously it's not going to launch just about anything, but it will launch a huge amount of mass up into space with relative ease. So much so, well anyway, you'll see a little bit later on how easy it was for it to get that particular ship up into orbit, but suffice to say, it can really move some mass. So anyway, just circularizing out the orbit here and deploying the solar cells. Wonderful. Whew. Alright, we have ourselves a ship in orbit, and I really overbuilt this thing, but this is supposed to be just the ship that'll actually transfer us through, but I think we'll use this to kind of get us on an escape trajectory from the system, and then once we've more or less got an escape trajectory, we can return that to Kerbin, and we're going to escape out and come over here, which should save us a fair amount of fuel, which is nice. So let's go back. I just want to see that little guy fall to the ground, and then we have to design some landers, I think. I don't think we'll do rovers on this mission, we'll just do some landers. Landers should be fine. How are we going to do this? Well, we're going to start with one of these, I think. That'd be the simplest way to do it. And let's put, we don't actually need anything for the top there, I don't think. And maybe we'll put on an atmosphere scanner just for the safety of the why not. Yep. And this thing's gonna need parachutes, but I think I have an idea about how I want to do the parachutes on this thing, so we'll leave that alone for now. We're gonna need... Actually, you know what? Let's just scrap that and let's load. Load that. Okay. First things first, we will call you Duna System Explorer Test. Yep. That's what you're called now. So we should have two, right? Yeah. Good. Alright, you get out of the way. Let's just see. Let's just see if we can build out a lander somewhere over here. Apparently we cannot. Okay, whatever. So I want to get the spacing on this right. I'm not sure how we're going to do it. Yeah, so really not much to say about this, honestly. Just the fact that I'm building it underneath the ship right now, obviously, so I can actually see the thing being built. And also so that I can figure out with the docking port on there, roughly whether or not the spacing's going to be right when I actually launch it and try to mount it up to the ship itself for transport. But pretty much your standard fare, put some lights on there, get some gears on there, get your science experiments on, atmospheric, materials bay, goo, that sort of thing. There's going to be a few others up towards the top there eventually, but for now, just getting the basic configuration of it worked out. Not quite sure why, but I started out with lights on the wrong place and gear in the wrong place, and I had to muck about with those a bit. RCS up top and on the bottom, because we're going to have to be able to rendezvous with the ship in orbit of Kerbin, or when it's in orbit over Duna or Ike. And that's basically it, your standard fare kind of rocket. Now outside to do some EVA testing for the ladders. Alright, well, after quite a lot of work trying to get this thing to all go together, I hope that we've got something functional here. Again, I don't know, because there's a few things. I mean, there's going to be a balancing issue here that I'm going to have to work out in a second, and there's also going to be the issue of actually being able to go up and down on those ladders. So that's what I'm testing right now, but I wanted to see the lights as well. Yeah. Cool. Alright, let's go EVA. Okay. Okay. So the ladders work fine. Whoops. We can get back up. Oh, no, we can't. Hmm. Okay, so we still got the problem of, you know, balancing things out here, but maybe that'll work slightly better. Whoop, let's grab onto that. Okay, does he drop down where I want him to? Yes. Okay. And we can get him all the way down. And does he get back up on top? Nope. Okay. Oy vey. Okay. This becomes even more difficult though because now I have to consider docking, and I also have to consider launching this thing. How am I going to launch this thing? Unless I can put a decoupler on the docking port. That'd be a good idea to strut the shit out of it too. Alright. Well, let's see how this all works. Okay. I just want to see if this will launch, and then I think I'm going to take a break. Okay. Okay, well, it is in fact possible to get this thing into orbit, just the way that I did there. Unfortunately, we use up a bit of fuel in the actual lander itself. Fortunately, though, the other ship that we have in orbit, our buddy over here, has a huge amount of fuel in here that we don't necessarily need to worry about, right? We can use this to refuel the landers once they get up to the ship itself. So at this point, I am kind of knackered. We'll do a rendezvous and some other stuff in a bit, but for now, I'm pretty happy with the way that all turned out, so we'll just leave it at that.